Step into the most chilling narrative space on YouTube, where countless others have already felt the cold embrace of fear. Be sure to tap that like button, subscribe, and click the bell icon for notifications on new videos. Don't forget to tell us in the comments which haunting story you think deserves the spotlight next. Stay tuned. In the ghostly glow of a single lantern, a disheveled woman, her face gaunt and eyes wide with terror, hastily operated a camera, the chilling wind whipping her hair. Desperation was evident in her voice as she whispered, "If anyone is watching, please help us." Behind her, the forest seemed alive, its trees swaying unnaturally, their shadows forming menacing patterns in the dense fog. What twisted events had transformed their quest for viral fame into such harrowing terror? The tale began with a peculiar event. 6 handwritten invitations, each sealed with an archaic wax stamp, were delivered to 6 of the world's most prominent influencers. Each invitation bore an intricate design, showing the silhouette of a jagged mountain peak shrouded in mist. The writing, in elegant cursive, carried an offer too tantalizing to refuse, an experience that promised unparalleled fame, alluring wealth, and an adventure that would forever be etched in history. All they had to do was spend Walpurgis Night atop the Brocken, the highest peak in the Harz Mountain range, in northern Germany, live-streaming the truth about the age-old tales of the legendary witches' gathering. Eager for fresh content and the allure of the unknown, the influencers hastily agreed, each one imagining the likes, shares, and global attention this venture would garner. Some whispered about the authenticity of the legends, while others scoffed, seeing it as a clever marketing stunt. Yet, all were united by the pull of curiosity and the thrill of the unknown. Their journey to the Harz Mountains was documented with meticulous detail. The scenic drives, the quaint villages, and the friendly locals who offered both warm wishes and cryptic warnings. As they began their ascent, the world around them seemed to shift. The dense fog wrapped around them like a suffocating blanket, obscuring their path and making the forest appear endless. The twisted trees, with their gnarled branches, seemed to reach out, as if warning them to turn back. The chirping of birds was replaced by an unsettling silence, broken only by the distant sound of wind chimes and murmured voices carried by the wind. Their modern equipment and colorful tents looked out of place, a stark contrast to the ancient, untouched wilderness that surrounded them. As they set up camp, there was a palpable sense of unease. The vast digital audience they hoped to captivate was still hours away, but the mountains, with their age-old secrets, were already watching. As the last rays of the sun disappeared behind the jagged peaks, the influencers found themselves enveloped in an atmosphere thick with anticipation. The fog, denser now, seemed to possess a life of its own, swirling around them in patterns too deliberate to be mere coincidence. The first to voice his unease was Alexander, a travel vlogger with a penchant for debunking myths. While adjusting his camera settings, he noted with a frown that the device refused to focus, its lens capturing only swirling mists even though the landscape was clear to the naked eye. He muttered about technical glitches, but his usually confident voice wavered with a hint of doubt. Isabella, known for her dramatic makeup tutorials, sat near the campfire, her face illuminated eerily. She whispered to the group of a cold breeze that seemed to caress her neck, even though the air was still. She laughed it off as mere imagination, but her eyes darted nervously to the shadows beyond the campsite. James and Lydia, a power couple who showcased their lavish lifestyle, were next to share their experience. They spoke in hushed tones about hearing whispered conversations just out of comprehension. Each time they tried to locate the source, the voices seemed to shift, playing a maddening game of hide-and-seek. Mira, a fitness influencer, had ventured a little away from the camp to shoot some nighttime yoga poses. Upon her return, her face was pale, her usual vibrant energy replaced by a quiet unease. She spoke of seeing her own shadow, elongated and distorted, moving against her will. The shadow seemed to beckon her deeper into the woods before vanishing altogether. Lastly, there was Victor, the skeptic of the group, who prided himself on his rational mind. He had scoffed at the others' tales, but as the night wore on, even he couldn't deny the unsettling feeling of being watched. He recounted how his drone, sent up to capture aerial shots, had been seemingly swatted down by an unseen force, its footage showing only a brief, unexplainable blur before going dark. With each passing hour, the boundary between the tangible and the ethereal became increasingly blurred. The influencers, once united in their quest for viral fame, now found themselves questioning not just their surroundings, but also each other. The initial camaraderie gave way to an undercurrent of suspicion. Whispers arose about one of them orchestrating these events for added drama. Accusations were thrown, alliances shifted, and the group splintered, with each individual wrestling with their own growing paranoia. The campfire, which once provided warmth and comfort, now cast elongated, flickering shadows that seemed to dance with malevolent intent. The once clear boundary of the campsite seemed to recede, the wilderness encroaching upon them, making them feel exposed and vulnerable. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig was magnified in the deafening silence of the night. By the time midnight approached, the influencers, once confident and dismissive of the legends, felt the weight of the mountain's history pressing down on them. The line between reality and superstition was no longer clear. Doubt had been sown, and fear had taken root. The group, once cohesive and united, stood fractured, with trust a distant memory. The mountains, with their ancient secrets, watched on, as the modern world's arrogance was slowly, but surely, humbled. As the hours waned, a palpable dread settled over the camp. The once comforting glow of their lanterns and digital screens now served only to deepen the shadows that stretched out from the wilderness, seemingly eager to engulf them. Alexander, once the voice of reason, found himself tormented by the distorted reflections in his camera lens. Faces not his own stared back, their expressions twisted in anguish, their mouths mouthing silent screams. He attempted to rid himself of the device, but each time he cast it away, it would reappear by his side, its screen awash with the haunting visages. Isabella, seated by the campfire, became entranced by the flames. They danced and writhed, taking on shapes that told tales of ancient rituals and forgotten sacrifices. Her own reflection in the water jug beside her aged rapidly, her youthful face replaced by that of a withered crone with hollow eyes that bore into her soul. James and Lydia, once inseparable, now eyed each other with growing distrust. Their whispered conversations grew heated, each accusing the other of treachery. In a fit of rage, Lydia claimed to have seen James in whispered conversation with a shadowy figure at the forest's edge. James, in his defense, spoke of a pendant Lydia wore, one that hadn't been there before, its gemstone pulsating with an eerie light. Mira's athletic grace turned into a frantic restlessness. She darted around the campsite, claiming to hear the soft lullabies of her long-deceased grandmother. The songs, comforting in her childhood, now held a sinister note, promising both solace and oblivion. Victor, ever the skeptic, clung to his rationality like a protective shroud. But even he could not deny the chilling drafts that seemed to pass right through him, leaving behind an icy residue that no amount of warmth could dispel. His drone, once lost, returned on its own, its footage showing a bird's-eye view of their campsite, but with an additional tent, old and tattered, that none of them had set up. As the night deepened, the boundaries of their reality began to unravel. The wilderness around them seemed to close in, the trees leaning closer as if privy to a secret the influencers were not. The whispered voices grew louder, a cacophony of ancient chants and mournful laments that tugged at the edges of their sanity. The breaking point came when Mira, drawn by the haunting lullaby, wandered into the woods, her silhouette disappearing into the dense fog. The group, despite their differences, united in their efforts to find her. Their search led them to a clearing where stone monoliths stood, their surfaces etched with runes that seemed to shift and change under their gazes. In the center of the clearing was Mira, but not as they knew her. She stood taller, her posture regal, her eyes devoid of recognition. Around her, the ghostly apparitions of the legendary witches of the Harz Mountains danced, their forms shimmering in and out of existence. The influencers, drawn by a force they couldn't resist, joined the dance, their movements synchronized as if they had rehearsed for this very moment. The digital world they once knew felt like a distant dream, the pull of the ancient ritual too strong to resist. Only Isabella, her strength waning, managed to break free. She stumbled back to the campsite, her breaths coming in ragged gasps. With trembling hands, she operated the camera, the live stream capturing the ethereal dance in the clearing. As dawn's first light pierced the horizon, the dance reached its crescendo. The monoliths pulsed with energy, the ground vibrating with a rhythmic hum. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, silence descended. The clearing was empty. The influencers, along with the spectral witches, nowhere to be seen. Isabella, her strength spent, whispered a final plea to the camera, her voice hoarse with despair. "Remember us," she murmured before collapsing, the camera capturing her final moments. When the rescue teams arrived, drawn by the frantic viewers of the live stream, they found only Isabella, her lifeless form cradled by the roots of an ancient tree. The rest, including Mira, were never found. Their equipment lay scattered, the footage serving as the only testament to their harrowing ordeal. The Harz Mountains, with their age-old secrets, had reclaimed what was once theirs, leaving behind only whispers that would haunt the winds for eternity. The line between legend and reality, forever blurred, served as a chilling reminder of the ancient powers that still held sway, waiting for the next group of intruders to challenge their dominion.